Is Yoko Ono one of the most criminally underrated and influential modern artists of her time? Music of the Mind, a retrospective of her work since the 1950s, is on at Tate Modern in London until the 1st of September 2024. I visited a few days after it opened, and here are some of my thoughts on what I saw. I'm going to try and avoid mentioning the B word, as Yoko has always been an incredible avant-garde artist in her own right, and she has suffered a lot of appalling misogyny and racism over the years. She has been a pioneering conceptual and performance artist, as well as a musician, peace activist, and an unapologetic provocateur. Born in Tokyo in 1933, she has now pushed the boundaries of creativity for over 6 decades, and her work has existed in an intersection between art and activism. This exhibition covers early work, from the mid-1950s right up to the present day. Outside the entrance to the exhibition is the Wish Tree, an interactive installation that invites participants to explore their deepest desires and create a collective expression of hopes and dreams. Participants write their wishes on small pieces of paper or tags provided by the artist, and they then tie these wishes to the branches of a tree. Over time, the tree becomes adorned with a multitude of wishes, creating a visually striking and emotionally resonant installation. Ono sees the Wish Tree as a way to bring people together, fostering a sense of unity and shared humanity through the act of making and expressing wishes. The wishes can be personal, global, or anything that the participant desires. As you move and negotiate your way around the exhibition, some of the scores from Ono's 1964 instructional art book Grapefruit help guide and instruct visitors as they journey through the space. You're invited to step on a painting, water a canvas, perform with a friend inside a bag, greet visitors by shaking hands, put your shadow together with strangers, hammer nails into a canvas, play a game of chess, celebrate your mother, and in my favourite part of the exhibition, draw, write and doodle in a completely white room containing a single refugee boat. Lighting Piece, one of our first instruction pieces, was written in 1955. This was later included in Grapefruit, and its simple instruction is to light a match and watch till it goes out. In 1966, at the invitation of George Manchunius, she filmed the simple act using an extreme slow-motion camera recording at 2,000 frames per second. At the same time, she also filmed her eye blinking, using the same technique. And these two super slow-mo movies greet you as you enter the exhibition. They are simple, but subtle and hypnotic, and are designed to create a meditative experience where you focus your mind deeply on everyday events and step out of and observe the everyday passing of time. Ono moved between Japan, the United States and England for 3 decades before finally settling in New York in 1971. During a 2-year stay in Japan between 1962 and 1964, she published her highly influential book, Grapefruit. It contains over 200 instructions that she had conceived over the previous 10 years. These were a hybrid of poetry and scores for actions, whose aims are to stimulate the imagination and unlock the mind. The first edition had 5 sections: music, painting, event, poetry, and object. In the 1970 version, film and dance were also added. The instructions in the book can be completed in reality or in the imagination. They are intended to make you dream, to wish, and to imagine. Ono was associated with the Fluxus art movement which emerged in the early 1960s. Fluxus sought to break down the barriers between art and life, and it encouraged a dynamic and participatory approach to creativity. It was influenced by Dada, Surrealism, and the ideas of John Cage. The movement was characterised by its anti-commercial, anti-establishment, and anti-art stance. George Manchunius, a Lithuanian-born artist, played a pivotal role in formalising the Fluxus movement, drafting its manifesto in 1963. Some of the key principles of the Fluxus manifesto were that it rejected the notion of traditional artistic mediums. It encouraged the fusion of various forms of expression. Fluxus artists engaged in a wide range of activities, including performance art, music, visual arts and literature, and they often blurred the lines between these disciplines. Fluxus emphasised active audience involvement. Performances and events were designed to elicit spontaneous and unscripted reactions from participants, challenging the passive role of the spectator in traditional art settings. The Fluxus artists were critical of the commodification of art. They created works that were often ephemeral, low cost and easily reproducible, deliberately avoiding the pursuit of market success. The movement sought to democratise art, making it accessible to a broader audience. While Fluxus was met with scepticism and resistance during its early years, its influence on contemporary art and culture is undeniable. The movement laid the groundwork for performance art, conceptual art, and participatory practices that continue to shape the art world today. The spirit of Fluxus lives on in the work of artists who push boundaries, challenge norms, and celebrate the fusion of art and life. Yoko Ono's performances often involved audience participation and challenged conventional ideas of artistic expression. Among her many thought-provoking works, Cut Piece stands out as a powerful and controversial performance piece that still challenges societal norms and explores themes of vulnerability, identity, and human connection. Premiered in 1964, Cut Piece is a performance art piece in which Yoko Ono invites the audience to participate actively in the creation of the artwork. The premise is simple yet profound. Ono sits on a stage, dressed in a best suit or gown. Next to her is a pair of scissors. The audience are invited, one at a time, to approach Ono and use the scissors to cut off a piece of her clothing. As the performance unfolds, Ono becomes progressively more exposed, highlighting the vulnerability inherent in the act of sharing herself with others. The act of cutting Ono's clothing is symbolic on multiple levels. It can be interpreted as a commentary on the destructive power of individuals within society, emphasising how actions that may seem insignificant on their own can collectively have a profound impact. Furthermore, Cut Piece challenges traditional gender roles, as Ono, a woman, willingly exposes herself in a manner that defies societal expectations. By allowing participants to cut away parts of her clothing, Ono relinquishes control and confronts the audience with the consequences of their actions. Cut Piece was met with mixed reactions during its initial performances. Some praised Ono for her courage and innovation, applauding the piece's ability to provoke deep introspection. Others, however, criticised the work for its perceived shock value and questioned whether it truly qualified as art. Despite the initial controversy, Cut Piece has endured as a seminal work in performance art. It remains a testament to the power of art to challenge norms, inspire dialogue and encourage self-reflection. By inviting the audience to actively participate in the creation of the artwork, Ono blurs the lines between artist and spectator, challenging traditional notions of authorship and control in the realm of artistic expression. The enduring legacy of Cut Piece lies in its ability to transcend its time and continue to spark conversations about the complex relationship between art, society, and the human experience. In a 1966 lecture, Ono commented that her early events had no script, but rather had a wish or a hope that started movement and transformed in the hands, minds and words of others, her instructions acting as seeds for the transformation of groups or individuals. This could be a dry and pretentious cliche in many artists' hands, but in this exhibition there's always playfulness and fun and a joy from getting involved with what the artist has provided. Ono visited London in 1966 for the Destruction in Art Symposium, which led to a 5-year stay in the capital. Here she connected with various artists, musicians and writers. The Destruction in Art Symposium, aka Diaz, was conceived by the artist Gustav Metzger. It aimed to examine the role of destruction as a form of artistic creation and its potential to provoke societal change. Metzger had arrived in London in 1939 from Germany, and much of his family were murdered in the Holocaust. He drew inspiration from some of the destructive forces he had witnessed, and his aim was to use the symposium as a means to channel the transformative power of destruction into a positive and constructive force within the realm of art. One prevalent theme at Diaz was the impermanence of art. Participants often created works designed to decay, disintegrate, or be destroyed during the course of the symposium. This challenged the standard view of art as a permanent and immutable entity, urging viewers to consider the transient nature of all things, even artistic creations. Diaz has had a lasting impact on the contemporary art scene, inspiring artists to explore unconventional mediums and techniques. The symposium's influence can be seen in various artistic movements that embrace destruction as a creative force, such as performance, installation, and conceptual art. It also prompted a re-evaluation of the relationship between the artist, the artwork, and the audience. By challenging traditional notions of permanence, the symposium encouraged viewers to become active participants in the artistic process, blurring the line between creator and observer. Shortly after Diaz, in November 1966, Ono was given her own solo exhibition at the Indica Gallery in Mason's Yard, London, entitled Unfinished Paintings and Objects. All objects in the show were predominantly white or transparent, and as stated were labelled as unfinished, and the visitors were encouraged to participate and complete the works. Works included a stepladder where you could climb up to the top, and by using a magnifying glass, you could see the word yes written in tiny letters on the ceiling. There was also a chessboard with all white pieces that encouraged you to play with an opponent until you both forgot what side you were actually playing with. And also, there was a blank canvas into which you could hammer a nail and add your own piece of creative DIY to the work. In 1967, Ono produced a feature-length version of her most notorious film, Number 4, aka Bottoms. She filmed 15-second sequences of over 200 buttocks from what she described as the London scene today. The 80-minute film soundtrack features Ono and Anthony Cox talking about the idea of the film to its participants, explaining their reactions, both positive and negative, to the concept. In one sense, documenting the making of the film as you watch it. Ono stated that for her, the bottom was one of the most vulnerable and defenseless parts of the body. She also declared that if all world leaders were prepared to expose themselves like this, then there wouldn't be any war. The film was ridiculously banned by the British Board of Film Censors, deeming it not suitable for public exhibition, despite it being clearly non-erotic or pornographic. Eventually the film was given an X rating and only screened in selected cinemas. It's actually quite a funny and relaxing watch, but probably 80 minutes of observing the rear ends of the 1960s underground art scene is too much for most people. Over the next few years, Ono did other more high-profile anti-war events in public, including a billboard campaign with "War is over if you want it," printed in giant letters, and a John and Yoko bedpiece in Amsterdam, where she and Lennon spoke to the world's media to promote world peace. Ono stated, "I like to fight the establishment by using methods so far removed from establishment-type thinking that the establishment doesn't know how to fight back." Another way to subvert the mainstream was to start a music career and take some of her Fluxus and avant-garde influences into the recording studio. And there is a section of the exhibition where you can listen to a wide variety of albums and tracks that she has made over the years. Ono had been making and performing music since the 1950s when she moved to New York, exploring unconventional soundscapes and pushing the boundaries of traditional music forms. When she met and later married John Lennon, she released collaborative albums such as Unfinished Music, Number 1, Two Virgins, and Life with the Lions. These albums featured experimental and unorthodox compositions, incorporating elements of freeform improvisation and avant-garde aesthetics. Yoko Ono's solo works, including the albums Fly from 1971 and Approximately Infinite Universe in 1973. These continue to explore experimental soundscapes. Her distinctive vocal style, characterised by unconventional vocalizations, screams and primal expressions, became a signature element of her music. Ono's ability to challenge the traditional expectations of vocalization set her apart in the music world, earning both praise and criticism, particularly from the conservative rock press, but she has certainly released some amazing music over the years. I would recommend checking out tracks such as Mind Train from the album Fly for a piece of incredible mental funk where her mesmeric vocal shrieks accompany a 16-minute pulsating groove. Also, Walking on Thin Ice is one of my all-time fave weird post-punk disco classics and was played at the legendary Paradise Garage by DJ Larry Levan. I will post a link to the incredible promo-only remix from 1985 in the description of this video. My favourite piece in the whole exhibition is the Ad Colour refugee boat room that was conceived in 2016 as a response to the crisis of mass displacement worldwide. Ono invites visitors to scribble, paint and draw in a white rowing boat and the stage that surrounds it. The audience can write or draw whatever they feel, and upon entering the room, you feel dizzy with the sheer amount of text and images all over the space. There is a table with pens on so that you too can collaborate and can add your own thoughts. It feels liberating to truly interact within a space and become part of the art in whatever way you want to. It's also fun and engaging in a way that a lot of interactive art doesn't always manage to provide. There is one final, powerful piece at the end of the exhibition, entitled My Mummy is Beautiful. Again, a simple but potent concept. You are asked to write your thoughts of your mother on a note and attach it to the canvas. When you read the myriad of notes strangers have written and left, the effect is powerful and emotional. I thought, overall, Music of the Mind was a fantastically engaging exhibition, exploring the last 7 decades of one of the art world's most misunderstood and controversial artists. Whereas some concept and performance art can be dry and distant from the viewer, this exhibition really allows the visitor to participate, be a part of the art, and in some cases, complete it. When I went, there were a lot of families with kids as well as the serious art crowd, and it felt a lot more joyous and inclusive as an art exhibition that I've seen for a long time. It was both thought-provoking and fun, and a great insight into the life and artistic vision of Yoko Ono. Go and check it out.